Okay, here's a different bait that a lot of people might not have seen before. It's called a spy bait. You look at it, you think, oh, it's a topwater bait. It looks like a topwater, like a double prop topwater bait, but it is not. This technique started in Japan. It's the best way I could describe it is almost like a finesse crankbait. It works really well in clear water. It's not so good in murky water or stained water. It works a little better when the fish can, physically see the bait from a distance. But it's very subtle. It's good in areas where the water is super clear. It's good in areas where you get a lot of fishing pressure, especially if you got a lot of guys fishing, power fishing with big spinner baits, fast, high vibration crankbaits, things like that. These lures are very subtle. But they do catch fish, and it's a tricky technique to learn. If you want to see a good technique video on these, go to Tactical Bassin on YouTube with Matt Allen and Tim Little. That's an excellent channel, and they have excellent information. They have an excellent video on the SPYBAIT. Those guys catch monster fish. They fish Clear Lake in California. They're from California, and they really know they're fishing guides. They know what they're talking about. So go to check out Tactical Bassin. They have a website too at tacticalbassin.com. You'll find some of their videos there. These are two different baits. One is made by IMO. One is made by Jackal. I really like the Jackal baits. They're from Japan. I fish a lot of Jackal soft plastics and stuff too, and their crankbaits as well. And they make really excellent. They're pricey, but they make really good stuff. Here's the SPYBAIT. Now you can see what I was talking about, where it looks like a devil horse, where it's got the two little propellers on it. This is the Jackal one. These baits are actually sinking. You can see the weight in the body there. The baits do sink. They don't suspend. So what the idea behind the bait is that you would cast it out, you would count it down, let it sink to the depth of the water that you want, and then retrieve it back on a slow, steady retrieve. You don't want to twitch it, or you don't want to jerk the rod, or make it do any movement at all. You just want it to stay in the water column that the fish are feeding on, and just bring it back at a slow, steady pace. These little propellers will spin really, really quickly, and it's the propeller that puts off the vibration that attracts the fish. The lure has very little motion. It just pretty much rocks from side to side. It doesn't dart or doesn't, wobble like a crankbait. It stays perfectly suspended in the water, and then it just rolls. And then the little blades are what gives off the vibration that attracts the fish. So, like I said, in clear water, you could drag this, within 5 feet of a piece of cover, and that fish is going to see that, and he'll come out and hit it. A lot of people look at it and think, wow, when you look at it in the water, you think, wow, it really doesn't do anything. It's not making any motion for the fish, but these little propeller blades spin so quickly that you can hardly see them moving. But they put off a lot of displacement, but it doesn't give a mass. It's like a vibration in the water, but it doesn't give off like a crankbait that wobbles from side to side or rolls real hard. It doesn't do that. So a lot of fish have seen that type of action before, but not this. So it's a very subtle technique. I don't throw these on bait casters. I would use a spinning reel and a spinning rod, a medium heavy. Medium heavy is a little bit much for this. I would use a medium, pretty light line, or a fluorocarbon. Not directly to braid. I would tie fluorocarbon to this, so obviously the fish can't see if you're fishing in clear water. You can see the hook arrangement on the Jackal. It doesn't have the hook in the end. It's got one in the mid body and then one just below the throat. Use the small little finesse hooks. This is the IMO one. This is the original SPYBAIT. The Realis 80. This one's a little heavier than the Jackal one. It casts a little further, but you can see this one is rigged that has the bait at the end, but it's got the same little propellers on it. Let's see if I can give you a closer look at that. As you can see, this has like a mirror finish in it with the stripes. Looks like a little perch, but it's a minnow type profile. It's got the dark back on it. Pretty realistic finishes and stuff. But like I said, this is the same thing. Doesn't dart around, doesn't jerk around. All it does is roll in the water, and then the little blades spin on the front and the back at the same time, and they put off a ton of very subtle vibration. Tricky to fish and tricky to get used to the technique, because guys that fish with lures, they're constantly wanting to make the lure move, or you know, they want to fish it like a jerkbait, so they want to twitch it in the water, but that is not how you use it. This is a sneaky, that's what they call it, a spy bait. It's a sneaky attack for pressured fish or for fish in clear water. Pretty clever technique. It's a good technique if nothing else is catching. It's a good technique to try. But like I said, it works best in clear water, and it does take a little bit of practice for you not to want to twitch the rod, especially if you fish with crankbaits or jerkbaits or spinnerbaits, where your tendency is to want to move the pole, move the fishing pole or jerk the fishing pole to impart action to the lure. You don't want to do that with these. If ever you watch fry fish in the water, their movement is so subtle. It doesn't put off a lot of vibration. It's very subtle. They just kind of move around effortlessly, and that's what this bait is trying to mimic. That's what that bait is trying to mimic. Subtle finesse technique for tough days, or tough waters where the water gets a lot of pressure, or like I said, guys are bombarding it with power fishing techniques, big baits, and using heavy jigs or big crankbaits and stuff like that. This might pull you out a few fish where those techniques won't. So it's definitely worth a try, worth practicing with it to get used to it. Pretty effective. A lot of these techniques come from Japan. In Japan, the bass fishing fanatics, and the waters get a lot of pressure, so they're constantly coming up with new ideas and new stuff to fool the bass. I've pretty much seen everything. But yeah, I'll get some more videos done with these on the water too, and I'll show you how they work and what they do. Thanks for watching.